So your draft is this weekend, tomorrow, or even worse, today, and you're surfing the web, searching up YouTube, looking at Reddit forums, and trying to find the perfect draft strategy. Well, what if I told you there really isn't any perfect draft strategy?
Touchdown! And he flips the ball to Rowdy to do with what he will.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and today we are going to talk about finding the perfect draft strategy. Okay, what is the perfect draft strategy? Well, I'm going to tell you guys right now, there is no perfect draft strategy, just like I said about 10 seconds ago. I'll re-emphasize it now because some of you probably are just like, what are you talking about? There has to be some sort of formula out there, and there truly isn't. Okay, now there's a famous quote out there by Mike Tyson, and I'm sure you guys have heard of it a billion times at this point, but it's very applicable to the thesis of this entire video, and that is everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Well, that's exactly what we're trying to instill into every single one of you guys' minds going into the draft. You have to adapt on the fly. Okay, you're playing against 10, 11, 13, God knows how big your league is, but you're playing against 11 other random people or your friends out there. You really don't know what they're going to do. A lot of them, even no matter their skill level, they're going to pull, rabbits out of the hat with some of their picks, and it's just going to throw you off in a sense. And there's going to be some players there that you might not think are there, or usually the worst case, players that you think might be there aren't going to be there. So when you're on the clock and you got to make a pick instantly, you're going to panic and you're going to screw it up. All right. So the entire premise of this video, guys, adapt on the fly. Now, before we get into the actual strategy, X's and O's, if you want to call it that, of a draft strategy video, let's just quickly break down the roster construction out there, what you guys want to have through, let's say, the first 10 rounds. Okay. Now, when it comes to league formats, a lot of you guys are playing in 3 receivers, 1 flex. I think that's the most popular format. 2 receivers, 1 flex is probably the same, just 1 receiver short. It's pretty much the same thing. 2 receivers, 2 flex, they're all the same thing. Now, if you guys play in super flex leagues, this video isn't going to be catered towards you. Nothing against super flex. I just don't play in super flex. So I'm sorry. Call me vanilla, whatever you want to say. This isn't a super flex video. So if you want to click off, go ahead. But if you guys out there that are playing in the 1 quarterback leagues, 2 receiver, 2 flex, 2 receiver, 1 flex, 3 receivers, 1 flex, this video is for you. If you're playing in a 3 receiver, 1 flex league, you would ideally want to have at least 5 receivers through the first 10 rounds, preferably 6 receivers. If you're playing in 2 receiver, 2 flex, you probably want to have about 5 receivers through the first 10 rounds. And if you're playing in 2 receiver, 1 flex, you still want to have about 5 receivers through the first 10 rounds. Okay. Why is receiver the most important position? Well, in PPR, which assuming you guys are all playing in at least half-point PPR, or usually the standard is 1-point PPR, receivers are going to be the players with the highest ceiling. They're the most important player in the entire game. All right. Now, high-end running backs are definitely, they got their own case, but considering this is PPR, you still want receivers through the flex. All right. Running back, even though this is a year where I'm going to be drafting a lot more running backs early on, receivers are still they're the alphas. Okay, they're the guys that you want to build this team around, and you want to have multiples of in case you have some injuries down the line. And this is where it's very easily as well, which we'll talk about coming up next, to take some upside swings. Okay, so have receivers through the flex and 1 more, whatever your format is. All right. That's pretty much the strategy. Now, when it comes to the running back, quarterback, tight ends, structure, running backs, I would say to have around 2 to 3 through the first 10 rounds, and then get your one of onesies, 1 quarterback, 1 tight end. There's drafts where I'll punt the tight end all the way down to the end of the draft. And if you want to do that, go ahead. I've already had a video where I've talked about 6 draft strategies, and I mentioned doing that in a lot of best ball drafts, and I've done it in some home league drafts as well. If you guys want to do that, go ahead. But I would get at least 1 of your onesies in the first 10 rounds, just so you don't complicate things too much. Or 2 of the onesies. It could be 2 quarterbacks in the first 10 rounds and punt, all your tight ends to the end of the draft if you want to do that. we got two of your onesies. Your onesies mean your quarterbacks and your tight ends. That's basically the slang for it. And then 5 receivers to 6 receivers, which is about 7 to 8. And then the rest of those fill out with your running backs, at least 2 running backs, 2 first 10 rounds. So now that you have your structure, you're going into the draft very flexible. All right. That's what you want to be. You want to have a very easy way to pivot. Okay. Adaptability on the fly. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Make sure that's instilled into your guys' minds when you're going into these drafts. The worst way you can draft is be a pinpoint drafter. Okay, in this round, I'm going to get this guy. In this round, I'm going to get this guy. In this round, I'm going to get this guy. That's the worst strategy you could have ever. All right. Now, in a reality football draft, that might be a little bit different because there's, so many freaking players. But in this fantasy league, everybody's looking at the same guys. All right, so don't think that your sleeper in the 6th round is definitely going to be there. You just truly don't know that. Now, he could definitely be on the top of your list, which is probably the next thing that I'm going to mention. Go into a draft with the board. All right. Now, if you don't want to make a board, you don't know how to make a board, well, you're in luck because the Showtime Fantasy Draft Guide is out now with my updated draft board, 110 players on it. Not every single player. I've had players removed, popular players removed off the board, but it's the exact same board that I'm using going into my drafts that I'm going to be using in my home leagues, best ball leagues, the few high stakes leagues that I do. And you guys can have access for it. $20, link down below, showtimefantasy.com. Go get your copy today. And listen, what you could really do if you want to spice it up, I'm probably not going to be the only guy that you YouTube search for fantasy football advice. All right. There's other guys out there. Go ahead and buy their board as well. They have their own rankings, probably for the same price. All right. Depending on how much you want to invest in it. Combine their rankings with my rankings and somebody else's rankings. Get your own master consensus rankings. Combine it on a spreadsheet, and there you go. Boom, there's your draft board. Regardless of the players that are on the board, have a list, okay? You only get about 60 seconds on the clock, and if you're playing in best ball, it's only 20 seconds on the clock, all right? So you got to be able to pivot like that. You can't just, oh, man, I don't know. Well, let me search the web for my next draft pick. No, you got to have a list of players right then, right there that say, okay, if this guy goes, I'm taking this guy. If this guy goes, I'm taking this guy. What that's called is being able to draft in clusters, a.k.a. tiers. Okay, which is a popular fantasy term out there. You have this many players in tier 1, this many players in tier 2, this many players in tier 3. And that's basically saying, all right, when my pick is coming up at pick 21, there's 5 guys I like right here in tier 2 or 5 guys I like right here in tier 3. Whatever one of these 5 guys is left, they will be the pick. Likely 2 to 3 guys will go. If 4 guys go, it makes your decision very easy, but in the worst case scenario, 1 guy only goes and you have 4 players to pick from. That's where you use the vertical rankings, which is simple, 1 through 110 for me, and you take the best player available. Now, in the case where you're going to want to pivot, just because of positional need, that's when you'll use the tier rankings because you're like, all right, I already have enough running backs. I already got my 2 running backs early on. Let me go ahead and draft wide receiver here. Let me see who's a top receiver in that tier. And then there might be another case. Make sure you follow along, guys. You can rewind this a bunch of times if you need to. Might be a case where, hey, even though I already stacked up in running backs, my league mates are just hoarding the receivers, right? But they're leaving great running backs available. For me, just to give one player example, Kenneth Walker, I've got him a lot in the 5th round. He's just sitting there. Kenneth Walker, in my opinion, is a 3rd or 4th round player. All right. So I've had times where I'm like, hey, I'm already 2 running backs in, and I really don't want to draft any more running backs, but Kenneth Walker's sitting here in the 5th round. I got to take him. In that case, then I shut myself off after the 3 running backs until like round 11 at the very earliest and just stack up at the receivers at that point. All right. But it's being able to adapt. Even though the strategy said, oh no, I got to go get receivers after I got my 2 running backs, because I had a hero, a double hero. I'm going to still adapt on the fly and pick the best player available. Now, speaking of strategy, and I'm going to be going all over the place, guys. This is a little bit of a rant, but I want to just jam this information into you, and you guys can rewind this as much as you need. Where do you declare your strategy? Okay. Typically for me, I like to declare my strategy after the 3rd round. All right. That's where I know, all right, I drafted an elite quarterback. I drafted 2 running backs, 1 receiver, 2 receivers, 1 running back. That's when I'll declare one of the 6 strategies that I talked about in the draft strategy video. I'm either going to be a hero RB team. I'm going to be a double hero RB team. I'm going to be, I'm going to have an elite quarterback and then fill out the rest of my team fill out the rest of my depth. When I have an elite quarterback, I don't need to really draft. If you guys are in your home leagues looking for this, if you guys draft an elite quarterback or an elite tight end, you get Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, you get Brock Bowers or McBride. You don't need to draft another tight end or quarterback. Okay, just there's no point. You're just literally wasting a roster spot. Those guys will never start over Trey McBride or Brock Bowers. Okay, that late round quarterback will never start over Josh Allen. And a lot of you guys might say, "Oh, what if he gets hurt?" Understandable, but you can't play fantasy football scared. We could say that for every single player. Everybody could get hurt. All right. Until he gets hurt, if you want to think of it like that, that guy's going to be wasting a roster spot. And if we're being real, if he gets hurt, it's not like the late round guy is going to come in and save the season. No, he'll be okay, but it's not going to save the season. So you might as well get by on waivers for however many weeks necessary and just call it a day. Anyway, after the 3rd round, that's where I want to declare my strategy. Maybe after the 4th round, but usually for me, after the 3rd round, I declare my strategy of, okay, what do I want to be? So those first 3 rounds, don't even worry about the tiers or nothing like that. Just literally the top player on the board. Take the best player available through first 3 rounds and call it at that. After 3 rounds, okay, I have 2 running backs. I'm a double hero RB team. So what does that mean? I'm laying off the running backs till the 7th to 8th round. Unless I get a case where I got that guy on the top of the tier, like I just said, like, man, I got to go take that guy and there's no other receivers in that tier. Okay, fine. I'll do that. But in that, from, rounds 3 through 7, I'm stacking up on my wide receivers, which, if you follow my draft board, I've basically sort of window dressed it in a way to where I want to get my elite running backs early this year, and I'm just going to swing on receivers in the middle rounds and just stack up my team with a bunch of upside receivers and, get my quarterback along the way. And if I don't get my quarterback early, I'll get my quarterbacks late, my Drake Mays, my Sunshines, my Herberts, Strouds, Jordan Love, etc. Maybe after first 3 rounds, I get a hero RB strategy. Okay. Now, if I have those mid-round, Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall, if they're there at a good value in the 4th round, I'll take them. All right. I'm open to the running back. But in this case, once I get my elite running back, I'm going to get 4 receivers, get 4 good receivers, 5 good receivers, through the first 10 rounds. 4 receivers, I would say, through the first 7 rounds is probably the best way to look at it. All right. Make sure I have receivers to cover my flex, cover the entire lineup, and then rounds 7, 8, 9, that's when I'll get my extra receiver for backup, and then I'm going to get one of my onesies in the mid rounds and play it like that. All right. Now, a lot of you guys that are doing this last minute, you're probably like, there's a lot of different ways, man. I don't know what to do. Well, practice. Okay. We're going to do a practice following, this whole monologue where I'll go on the sleeper draft. Now, I should do an underdog draft, but I guess for the sake that this is a home league based video, we'll go on sleeper. We'll do a quick mock draft, and I'll show you guys how easy it is to adapt on the fly. And the more you practice this, you guys should have already been practicing. But guys, go to Underdog. I know it costs some money, but do some paid drafts versus some guys that know what they're doing. Okay, these guys are a lot better than the buddies in your league. So you go in there, you do your thing versus those guys. You're probably going to come out okay. All right, and you're going to come out, you probably will come out, actually, you'll come out, a little scathed at first. You're probably not going to do okay early on. But then you get the hang of it, you will do okay. And then by the time you get over to, the ESPN sleeper drafts, you're going to be like, damn, this is a walk in the park. All right, so that's probably the best way to really, really get amped for it. And you guys, even if your draft is in 8 hours and you're looking up this video today, you still got time to do it. There's time out there. Probably a better way to practice than, doing the sleeper mock drafts that we'll do. But I'm just going to do that for the sake of, trying to re-emphasize some points I made in the video. Now, when it comes to which rounds do I draft the floor versus the upside, stuff like that. It's a question that gets thrown out a lot. For me personally, those first 3 rounds, I'm looking at strictly floor. All right. Give me the guys that we already know we're going to do well. Give me the CeeDee Lambs. Give me, Bijan, give me Kyron Williams, give me Chase Brown, I guess he's more of an upside guy, but it's pretty easy in those first 3 rounds. Take the floor players. All right, take the guys we know we're going to do well. Like last year, this is a common example. I'm still using it from last year. Like Marvin Harrison was not a floor player last year. He was a round 1 to 2 pick. He was a ceiling player. I don't want ceiling players that early on. All right. This year, there really isn't that. I can't think of a good example off the top of my head. I mean, maybe Ashton Genty, I guess, would be a good example of a ceiling player because we haven't seen his floor. I guess I've been technically avoiding Genty because I have him down in like the 112, 1-2 turn area. I'm not like sky high on him where he's going probably in your home leagues. He'll probably go middle of the first round. What I like to go by, there's a quote out there, and I don't even know who wrote this quote or invented this quote, but you can't win your drafts in the early rounds, but you could definitely lose them. All right, so in the first 3 rounds, just take the safe players, the players we already know that, they've produced for multiple years in the NFL, and, they're going to be guys that we can count on regardless of what happens, the coach gets fired, the quarterback gets hurt. We know this guy is going to produce. All right, draft those guys in the first 3 rounds. Now, when we get to the middle rounds, what we're looking to do is draft upside players. Okay, so what do I mean by that? In the middle rounds, we're not drafting guys like Alvin Kamara and James Conner and Aaron Jones and, Deebo Samuel. We're not taking those guys. All right. Those guys are not upside players. Those guys are floor players. We don't want any parts of that in the middle rounds. The middle rounds, we're looking for guys that are risky. We're looking for guys with upside because we already have our floor players that we're going to bank on. So now we're going to take some risk here and we're going to take some upside swings. So Travis Hunter, George Pickens, Rashee Rice, guys like that. These are risky players a little bit. Pickens probably the least risky out of the bunch, but still in his own right. Maybe Ted McMillan, who's a rookie, Henderson from New England, who's a rookie. Take some upside swings. These guys have sky high ceilings, but they could also, there's weeks where they're going to hit the floor, but they're not our main guys. Okay, there are guys that are our secondary guys. In a sense, they're going to be in the starting lineup, but they're not going to be the guys that are, carrying the torch for your fantasy team. I'm sure you guys get the point of what I'm saying. From here, basically until the very last pick, okay, you're going to want to take upside swings. All right, get your few floor guys, but take upside swings because look, here's the thing, guys. All right, if you're just going to go in, pick the top of the consensus ADP and think that's going to carry you, look at the rankings from last year to this year. They're totally different. Why is that? Okay, because there's late round upside players all the time that hit and they flourish, and then the following year they get thrown in the top of the rankings. Examples from this year to this year: Chase Brown. Chase Brown was a 7th, 8th round pick last year. I still like him, but he's a 2nd round to 3rd round pick this year. Malik Neighbors was a 3rd, 4th round pick last year. He's a 1st round pick this year. Devin A-Chain was a 4th round pick last year. He's a 1st round pick this year. I'm already blanking on a few. I'm already blanking on more examples. Brian Thomas Jr., probably my last example. 7th round pick last year, 1st round pick this year. Changes happen every single year. So if you're going to go in and think you're just going to draft the top of the consensus ADP, you're out of your mind. All right? Take some upside swings. Take some guys with a little bit of risk in those middle rounds. And if you don't know who, again, the draft board's available for you. There's other guys out there with other rankings. Buy some rankings, look at their rankings, look at, guys that have been doing a lot of drafts like myself and, tons of other people in the industry. All right. And see where they're, my rankings, I know I can speak for myself. They're kind of based off where I'm drafting, where I'm comfortable drafting the guys that I'm picking in these best ball drafts. Okay. That's just my sense of, okay, so if I like the upside guys, I'm probably going to have them higher on my board. So that's when it comes to who, that's where, you guys can get your advice. But this video, look, let's be real, guys. This entire game is a crapshoot. Okay. So a lot of guys, you sit there and you go, this guy or this guy, man, this is so tough. Oh my God. I don't know what to do. Dude, don't waste your time. Okay. Literally, don't waste your time. All right. This is like between Calvin Ridley and Rome Odunze. That's not going to, there's a right answer to it, but we could say that we could do this guy or this guy for a zillion players. All right, this whole game is a crapshoot. So just take some upside swings, whatever the player is. All right, look at the players who you would deem upside swings, and then take swings on those guys, whoever you like. All right, don't stress for hours on end about this guy or this guy when this entire game we could play that game and it's a freaking crapshoot. Okay, so keep that in mind. Try not to overthink this because this game really isn't that hard, but there is a strategy that if you guys practice a little bit, it'll make this a lot easier. So now what I want to do, I want to take this draft over to, or excuse me, I want to take this video and kind of transfer it over to a sleeper video. I'm going to shift scenery a little bit in the background too, record it from my work computer, which is a lot more, it has OBS on it. So I'll be able to screen record in the background while you guys see me. And we will do a mock draft on sleeper, and I'll basically walk you guys through what I do, my philosophy in a draft, so you guys can see it live and in action. So here we go. All right, guys, here we go. We are in sleeper in a kiddie pool, as I call it, essentially a mock draft, a free mock draft. We're basically going to be going against the computer now, just to make sure things are sped up, and I can walk you through this whole entire process. And we're just going to run through a couple mocks. I'm going to just do the first 8 rounds in 2 different spots. I'm going to start one at the 4 and then do one at like the 9, just to kind of give you, oh, what if I'm at here? Oh, what if I'm here? There's definitely a lot of different ways that could affect. I mean, I can't sit here and go through every single draft spot, but I'll go through the top half and I'll go through the bottom half real quick just to show you guys how I would adjust on the fly and, different scenarios that I'll put myself in. So you might as well go ahead and start it now. I don't have my draft board in front of me, but at the very worst, I kind of have a feel for things, so I'm, going to know how it's supposed to go. So right here, typically my best player on the board would be CeeDee Lamb. So I'm going to go ahead and I honestly, just for the sake of it, I'm going to go ahead and take Bijan, but CeeDee Lamb would be my number 1 pick here. And we'll just let the simulator play along. Nothing too crazy so far. All pretty standard picks. If you guys have been practicing, none of what is going on right here, so should surprise you. Brock Bowers just coming off. I would take him if he came back around to me, and then boom, I'm on the clock. So right here, I can go a multitude of ways. I could go Bucky Irving is probably my best player on the board still. And once I select my second running back, I'll basically declare that I am that I'm a double hero RB strategy, and basically I'll be done with the running backs until I'll probably be done until round 7 at this point. But let's just go ahead and take him and lock it in. I am a official double hero RB team. Both the quarterbacks come off the board, and at this point we are going to just be looking for receivers. So I think the best player on my board right now would be T. Higgins. I'm pretty sure either T. Higgins or JSN. We're just going to go T. Higgins here and play along. Now, the elite quarterbacks are definitely would have been the pick if they made it back to the 3, but they went. Not really going to sweat it at all. Trey McBride was definitely a strong consideration, but I'd rather have Higgins and JSN over both of them. Actually, I don't know about JSN, but I definitely would rather have Higgins over him. So we come back around to the 4, and again, we're still hunting for receivers. I mean, Joe Burrow could enter the consideration here, but he just went to pick before us, so that rules him out. Again, we're officially a double hero RB strategy, so we're done with running backs until the 7th round. I mean, unless something pops out to us, but the best running backs here: Chuba Hubbard, no thank you; James Conner, no thank you. TreVeyon Henderson is definitely an intriguing position right there. But let's see if he makes it back to us on the 5. We'll take Devontae Adams for the sake of it, just to keep things moving. Xavier Worthy, Devontae Smith, JMO. Ooh, this is interesting. TreVeyon Henderson should not be a 5th-round pick. He's going 4. I want to say he's going 3-4 turn. I've seen in a lot of best ball drafts recently. George Pickens is also a really nice pick here too. But again, this is one of those spots where, all right, I mean, I have TreVeyon Henderson as a top of the 4th round player, and here we are sitting in the middle of the 5th round damn near, and he's sitting here available saying, take me, please take me. Now, if I take him here, I'm basically done with running back, and I'm going to have to hope receivers stretch. So quarterbacks, really nothing sticks out. Mahomes, I just think this is a little too early. So let's go ahead and take TreVeyon Henderson. let this thing play out. Tight ends, Laporta would have been interesting, but I'm not really liking him round 5. He's more round 6 for me. Travis Kelce, I'm not really interested in. Hawkinson is definitely a player I'd be interested in, but didn't make it back to us. We need some ADP updates on sleeper. I mean, Quinshon Judkins is not a 6th-round player. I mean, that's just totally incorrect. So here we are. We're still hunting out receivers, and we still have some guys left. I mean, we got 2, but considering we're a 3-receiver, 1 flex, or 2-receiver, 2 flex, my home league, which I implemented the settings, are 2-receiver, 2 flex. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Calvin Ridley here, just for the hell of it. I mean, quarterbacks, Bo Nix, I like, but I'd rather have him in the 7-8 range. I think that's a little too early for him. Let's see. Jared Goff, no thank you. Kyler Murray, no thank you. Herbert, a little early. Purdy, a little early. So, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's say Calvin Ridley. See what makes it back to us on the 7th turn. Jerry Jeudy, no thank you. Swift. Olave would have been nice there. That was definitely a player I would have been targeting. Jordan Addison is a huge player. Rome Odunze is a hell of a player. I mean, that he should not be falling to the 7th round. We're going to go ahead and scoop him up easily. So there you go. Through the first 3 rounds, we're done at running back, and we already have 4 quality receivers. Now we start to look at our onesies. Our onesies being, like we said earlier, our tight end and quarterback position. Really not a lot of good values. Tyler Warren is nice if he can come down here. I don't know if he'll make it back to us. He does. That's very interesting. I'd be very interested in taking him right here, knowing that he's probably going to go. And then this is probably the best thing about home leagues. Defenses, kickers. Guys, we do not draft. Rule of thumb, do not draft defense and kicker. Okay? Make those your very last picks. Do not invest anything into defense and kicker. Pearsall and Ibuka, I would like to have both of those guys here as well. But just to keep things balanced, let's take Tyler Warren, get one of our onesies before round 10 at the very minimum. You would like to have both 2 of your onesies. So 2 quarterbacks, 0 tight ends, 1 quarterback, 1 tight end for balance, maybe 2 tight ends. I'd really say almost never have 2 tight ends before round 10. And I just want to say, guys, I do apologize. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going very fast, but the draft is moving fast. Okay, this is how you got to think on the fly. So keep practicing. Do as many of these you have to do. Emeka Ibuka is not a round 9 pick, so this is an easy pick right here. But this is why you guys need to practice on underdog. 20 seconds of pick. That's kind of what my brain is on right now. 20 seconds of pick. So it's very easy for me to make these picks. I mean, even though a computer is picking all these picks and I'm on the clock again, it's not hard at all for me to do that. So we're going to make a couple more picks here and then pause it for a quick analysis and then start over from a different position. Now I'd like to say we consider our onesies. Dak here in the 10th round I think is pretty solid value. So I wouldn't mind scooping up here. Keon Coleman ain't a bad value either. But just to, make it even, let's pick Dak. Coleman goes. So at this point we have 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 4 receivers, 1 tight end. That's exactly where we want to be through 10 rounds. Wide receiver, let's see who we got available. Shaheed is my boy. I definitely want to take him, but we could probably wait on him. Running backs we're solid at. Let's see. I'm going to still take Shaheed just because I love him. Round 11, I would take him round 10 in best ball all day. So let's go ahead and let's pause this draft real quick if it's possible. Because this pretty much, at this point, we're just, filling out the roster. But I want you guys to take a look at a couple things before we do another draft. One of the things that you guys need to be aware of are when there's runs on positions, okay? This is where you could tend to zig where everyone's zagging. So, an example round right here in the 8th round, you see a run of 4 receivers where my cursor is. There's 4 receivers sliding off the board. In a reactive manner, a lot of you guys are going to say, damn, all those receivers are going, I got to get my receiver. Okay, so you're going to go reach for a receiver when there's total value like Tyler Warren in here in the 8-9. All right, granted, I already had 4 receivers on my roster, so I wasn't super, super hungry to go get a receiver. But this is where a lot of you guys, I tend to see in tons of drafts that I've done, you start reaching at a position when you see a run rather than just accepting a defeat, saying, okay, maybe this is not the best value here, and strengthening up at the other positions rather than trying to compete with other people who are already strong at receiver, outdo them at running back, outdo them at tight end, and then grab a quarterback. So one thing, trying to take a look here at another example. You had a little bit of a run here at running back. It's kind of with the computer, it's a little bit harder just because the computer doesn't really think like that. Here's a nice run. No, this isn't a good example. Yeah, but with the computer, it's a little bit difficult to kind of spot these runs. You see all a little bit with tight ends here. A lot of you guys would start getting reactive with tight ends and start reaching, and go grabbing tight ends here. I've seen that plenty of times. So just be careful. Don't be afraid of a run. Now, if it's a run where you feel like if say these receivers were gone and I only had two receivers, then I would absolutely, fall in line with the run and draft a receiver. But this is the benefit to these strategies. Got my running backs. I laid off. Henderson in the fifth round was an absolute steal. I had to get him, but now I'm done at running back. Those are going to be my three running backs. I'm done. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 receivers that I feel confident in. I got my tight end Tyler Warren, who I feel confident in, and then I got my boy Dak as a quarterback. Overall, I like this team a lot. Okay, so I'm going to start this one. I'm going to start right here from the 10. I'm going to start a little bit lower. We got the 4, so I'll start at the 10. That's actually where my spot is in my home league. So we'll go ahead. We'll run through it again. Make sure everything's A-OK on the stream side. Looking good. All right, and I'm on the clock. Bleak Neighbors, I mean, this injury concern is really, really annoying, but I'm going to go ahead and select him here. And, again, guys, it's a minute. So usually that's the standard for a lot of the home league drafts is a minute. Take a deep breath, look at your board, reevaluate things, take a deep breath. I could sit here and, I practice on 20 seconds, not to brag. It's not like that much of a brag if you guys already do best ball yourself, but I already know the pick. I'm just sitting here giving commentary, but excuse me. Bleak Neighbors to me would be a pretty easy pick here, not just because he's on the consensus board, but it's actually my number one pick on my board as well right now. And we're going to walk into another steal at the bottom end. A-Chain I like, but the injury concern is annoying for me. We're going to get Brian Thomas Jr. here. And this is good because it's a little bit different than the previous strategy. Now we don't have any running backs so far. So we're going to be a little bit top-heavy receiver, which is fine. I like receivers early. I've always been a fan of that. And we'll see what comes back to us. Trey McBride is still laying around, I believe. There he goes. Allen, Jackson, and Hurts are gone. Kittle goes. Garrett Wilson goes. That would have been consideration for the pick here, and we are on the clock once again. Let's see. I mean, if I had I don't even know who would be the top. I think Amarian Hampton might be the top player on my board right now. Yeah, I would say so. Maybe Devontae Adams I actually have over him. JSN, where did he go? He went at 3-5, so he's gone. We just took Devontae Adams in the last one. I think I have Adams and Hampton in the same tier. So let's see. Hampton, honestly, Adams is probably going to make it back to us. So let's just get Hampton right here. Oh, and that's what happens when you say stuff like that. He goes before you. So we pivot to the next one. Marvin Harrison Jr. is actually a fine option at the 4th round. I'll go ahead and take that. And at this point, we are, I guess, a hero RB team. So we're going to be very elite at receiver. Neighbors, Thomas, Harrison, rolling them out as your 3 receivers. That's pretty intimidating. I don't want to face that in my lineup any week whatsoever. Cortland Sutton's laying around. Oh, wow. We got to take Cortland Sutton. This is a steal. Cortland Sutton, if you guys saw my reach around video, I have him in the 4th round and get him in the bottom of the 5th. I think that's a steal. So easy pick here. Henderson's very tempting as well, but the board says take Cortland Sutton, so we're going to go ahead and take him. Flowers. And wow, we're going to walk right into Travion Henderson. Again, a value that I can't pass up, but I mean, it's just a bad ADP. I mean, Sleeper's got him way too low. They're going to see this video and hopefully not, because I actually hope in my home league I get Travion Henderson in the 5th, 6th round, but by that time the draft's not for until September, so I feel like they're going to make an adjustment and move him back up. But this is where, again, we should be laying off running backs to around the 7th, 8th round, but we're going to go ahead and take Henderson just because the value's too good. If let's say Henderson went with one of these picks, I probably would take JMO. If Pickens just went, I believe. Yeah, Pickens went before Sutton. So yeah, I would take JMO. Waddle would be in consideration, Ridley would be in consideration, Olave would be in consideration, but easy money here. We'll go ahead and take Henderson and keep this thing moving. Olave in the 6th round's a steal. JMO, I'm not even a big fan of, but to get him at 6'9", I think is a steal. Ridley at 6'11" is a steal. Addison at 7'2" is a steal. So, again, these ADPs are just totally messed up. But I don't know if it's just we're getting good luck today, but it feels like the draft is totally working in our favor. Receivers, we're pretty much set. I mean, we could take, we want to have 5 receivers through 10 rounds. So we're going to go ahead and grab one more receiver, probably with the next pick. But with this pick, very interesting. 7-10. I think my best player on the board, honestly, it might be Diggs. Looking at the list of guys here, yeah, it honestly might be Diggs. That's weird. Bo Nix isn't a terrible pick here, but I still just think he's a little too early. I think there's better options late. Ingram, no. Robinson, no. Kupp, no. Njoku, no. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead. We'll take Diggs here. Let's see. Yeah, I got to move this down. Nix, Kupp, Ingram, Njoku. Okay, guys that we didn't even want. So, we could go ahead and just really seal the deal at receiver here and take Shakir. Best running backs on the board right now. Robinson, no. Tracy, no. ETN, no. Warren, I'm not against Warren here. I think yeah, I'm not terribly against Warren here. I mean, we're in the 8th round, so now we could be open to running backs again. But, sheesh. This is a difficult choice. I really like Shakir though. He's saying, please come draft me. Please come draft me. I don't have my board in front of me, so I don't want to sit here and run through it. But let's go ahead and take Shakir. And that's 6 receivers through 10 rounds. So now we could if we really, really want to, we could lay off receiver, considering the receiving core that we built up with Neighbors, Thomas, Harrison, Sutton, Diggs, Shakir. We could lay off receivers for the entire rest of the draft. And when there's picks like this, oh God, if Ibuka comes down, we're gonna have to take him, man. I mean, this is ridiculous. But let's just say Ibuka goes, because there's no way, nobody's going to be taking defenses this early. If anybody does, it's awesome for you guys, because it just shoves real players down the board that shouldn't be here. Josh Downs should be long gone. Ibuka should be long gone. So let's act like Ibuka is taken. We're not going to do that, because that's not going to be a good practice. I say right now we start attacking our onesies and then start looking at running back as well. Jordan Mason is not a bad value here, but I think there's a chance that he can. I don't know, actually. Same with Colston Loveland, but again, look at these guys. They already took. Let's go ahead and take Mason, and the reason I'm going to say that is because these guys already took their tight ends. So Kincaid goes, Jonnu goes, and what do you know? We're going to walk right into Colston Loveland. Another thing that you guys should be doing is, if you're on these back ends of the turns, what makes the benefit to that is, yeah, you got to wait a long time, but you get to see what easily, especially in sleeper, what are the needs of your opponents. Now, typically 2 tight ends before the 10th round really isn't that standard to me, but that's just, I guess, me. Knowing that they both took tight ends last round, usually 9 times out of 10, they're not going to take tight ends again. Of course, the computer does that just to, I guess, mess with us a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and take Loveland was the guy we want anyway, but that's why I took Mason before Loveland, because we knew that these guys already took tight ends. So simple reads, just read your opponents, guys. Make sure, if their structure's a little messed up, that'll tell you what way they're probably going to draft with their next pick, and it'll give you an easy decision to make with your own pick. We need to get a quarterback here. We're a little low on quarterbacks, or I said a little low. We don't even have a quarterback. We can honestly, I'll take Caleb Williams and Drake May right here and go boom, boom. Tight ends, we got Loveland last round. Really don't like any of these guys, so we're probably going to have to punt on our tight end too. Receivers, we're good for the rest of the draft. We'll probably use another running backs. We'll just probably wait around and get the late round guys. Let's go ahead and grab some quarterbacks here. Again, here comes the defense and the kickers, totally irrelevant. Go ahead, take another quarterback. So we're solid at quarterback. Do 11 rounds. We'll do one more go around of this and then wrap this thing up. Caleb Williams, Drake May, we're good. Receivers are good. Tight end, we're good. Running backs, we probably need one more. Let's go. My boy Shahid's gone. There goes Luther Burden. We could take him as well too. That's a solid play. We'll go ahead. I like Trey Benson a lot too. This is ridiculous. He shouldn't be here. So we'll go ahead and take my boy Corey Krosky Merritt. And then we'll take Trey Benson. And I mean, at this point, we're just filling out the roster. So now I'm good at running back, good at receiver, good at quarterback. We get a tight end, and then we'll just take a couple upside swings late. Basil Tootin would have been a good pick there. Sampson's still a good pick. Dante Thornton's a great late round upside pick. Legette's a good upside pick. And, we got pretty much all the options in the world. I guess right here we'll go real quick and call it a day. Let's see who's the best player on our board. Let's take my boy Dante Thornton right here. And we're really, really done at receiver. And then we'll get one more tight end. We'll get Brenton Strange. So let's pause this. Let's end this draft. I think you guys get the point by now. If you don't, you can rewind the video. Let's pull this down so you guys can see the whole thing. So, we claimed early on, once we had after 3 rounds with Hampton, okay, we're a hero RB team. But again, TreVeyon Henderson was there. That's just for me, okay? You guys might not like TreVeyon Henderson. I love TreVeyon Henderson. I think if you guys watch fantasy content out there, most analysts like TreVeyon Henderson. What's not to like about the guy? That's a value here in the 5th, 6th round. It's way too late. So I went ahead and scooped him up. Let's say he was gone. I probably would have just attacked 2 more receivers. Jaylen Warren would have been the pick right here. Where did he go? Yeah, he went all the way at 8-12. I probably would have put Jaylen Warren and Jordan Mason instead of Shakir. That would have been my 2 and 3 at running back. Those guys would both part-time take that second RB role. All my receivers would be in my lineup. The 2 receiver, 2 flex, 2 receiver, 1 flex. You want receivers in the flex, through the flex. Okay, point blank period. So all my receivers would cover my flex. Loveland would be my starting tight end. I would alternate between these 2 guys to be my quarterback. And then once we get to right about here, these are just depth pieces. Krosky Merritt can compete definitely for an RB2 role, but his ADP is way too low too. He should be a 9-10 player. So that's the other benefit too, guys. Practice on underdog. Don't practice with this. Okay, this is not really practice. I'm just showing you this because I want you guys to see, because it's quick. It's on the fly. I can explain to you quickly what to do if I were in these situations. But underdog is the reality. That's where you guys are going to really, really shine and, you're going to get roughed up a little bit in underdog. Mainly the guys I haven't played before. The guys have already played before, you know what I'm talking about. But then you're going to come over to the kiddie pools, as I call it, in these mock drafts, easily clean up. And then once you go to your home leagues against your buddies who are using these default rankings that have kickers and defenses scattered throughout the picks where they're not even reality players. I don't even care about kickers and defense. I don't even know. Actually, you could go an entire draft without drafting kicker and defense. That's pretty awesome on Sleeper. I didn't know you could do that. So in that case, I wouldn't even draft a kicker and defense, to be honest with you guys. Just make the decision week 1. And I'll have it once we start going to lineup change or, doing starts and sit videos, in September. I'm going to give you guys, updates and who to pick for the week on kicker and defense, so you won't have to worry about it. But there you guys have it. I mean, that's how I do it on the fly. That's how I draft. You adapt on the fly. All right, adapt on the fly. There's no perfect strategy. Round 1, I'm going to do this. Round 2, I'm going to do this. Round 3, I'm going to do this. No, you're just picking and going, man. That's the game of fantasy. You're not trying to. Don't overthink it. Like you have to have a concise list of players, but in terms of a strategy, you adapt on the fly. That's how you draft in fantasy football, guys. So hopefully you guys got some information that you could take to your home leagues and dominate your competition. And you got something positive out of this video that is helpful. Again, go down, link down below, Showtime Fantasy Draft Guide, $20. I have my player write-ups on every single player that I'm drafting, my grades on every single player, projections on every single player, and then my updated draft board, which is the most important piece to this because you can literally check players off as you're going along, as these players are being picked. And by the time you get to it's all sorted out, round grades, tier grades. It's literally a 5-year-old can follow along with it, guys. Okay. So you'll have your list of guys ready to go. So you just go back and forth between 2 tabs, not scrolling across the entire web trying to find a player. No, one monitor here, draft board, keep you nice and organized. So when you're on the clock for that short amount of time, you can make an easy decision. So practice, guys. Good luck on your drafts this weekend and next weekend, wherever they may be. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.